Chapter 3, Lesson 6, Adding and Subtracting Unlike Fractions. All right, first thing we need to see is the definition of unlike fractions. They are fractions with different denominators. So an example of unlike fractions would be 2/5 and 3/8. When we talk about unlike fractions, one of the things we're going to have to look at is LCD. And that just means the least common denominator. And all that means is the smallest number that is a multiple of both denominators. And what if you can't find a common denominator? What if you can't think of a multiple of both denominators? Well, all you need to do is multiply the two denominators together, and that will give you maybe not the least common denominator, but it will give you a common denominator. Now, when we want to add or subtract unlike fractions, the first thing we have to do is find a common denominator. We want to try to find that least common denominator, but we need to at least find a new denominator that is a multiple of both of our denominators. Then we follow our rules like normal. We add and subtract the numerators, we keep that same denominator that we just found, and we simplify our answer. So let's look at a couple examples. If I have 5/9 negative plus 1/6, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a common denominator. I'm going to start with my larger denominator, and I'm going to say, what are some multiples of 9? Well, my first multiple is 9 itself, but 6 doesn't go into that. My next multiple is 18, and I say, ooh, 6 goes into 18. So 18 is going to be my common denominator. And then I say 9 times 2 gives me 18. You don't have to show this step, but I will so we make sure we know what it is. So we multiply the numerator times 2, and we get 10/18. Don't forget my negative sign. And then we say 6 times 3 is what gave me 18. So multiply that numerator. So my new problem is negative 10/18 plus 3/18. And then I follow my old rules. Keep my denominator. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7. And remember, my negative goes out here with the whole fraction. And negative 7/18 cannot be simplified. All right, then we have negative 1/4 minus 7/9. So I look for a common denominator, and I say, start with my big number. My multiples of 9 are 9. 4 doesn't go into that. 18. 4 doesn't go into that. 27. 4 doesn't go into that. And 36. In this case, it actually is 4 times 9 is my least common denominator. I'm subtracting. I want to make sure I keep that negative. 4 times 9 is 36, so I do 1 times 9, which gives me 9. 9 times 4 gives me 36, so 7 times 4 gives me 28. Now I have a negative, and I'm subtracting a positive, so remember it's adding the negative. So negative 9 plus negative 28 would give me negative 37. So I want to rewrite that as negative 37 over 36. Or I could change it to negative 1 and 1 over 36. All right, when I add or subtract, unlike mixed numbers, I have just one extra step that I need to do in here. I get my common denominators like before, but now it's really important that I change those mixed numbers to improper. These two steps, number 1 and number 2, you can actually do in either order. It doesn't matter. You add or subtract your numerators, keep your denominator, and simplify. Okay, so let's look at an example. So the first thing I'm going to do is get common denominators. So I'm going to say 4, and what's my common denominator going to be? It's going to be 8, so 4 and 7/8 minus negative 3 and 4/8. And then I'm going to make them into improper fractions. So I'm going to say, okay, 4 times 8, 32. Plus 7, 39/8 minus negative 24 plus 4, 28/8. Then I'm going to do zoom, zoom, and I'm going to say 39 plus 28 is 67/8. Change that to a mixed number is 8 and 3/8. And then negative 2 1/3 plus 7 1/2. I'm going to get a common denominator. So negative 2. My denominator is going to be 6, so times 2, so 2/6, plus 7 and 3/6. Then I'm going to make them into mixed numbers into improper. So I'm going to have negative 14 sixths plus 45 sixths. So negative 14 plus 45 is going to leave me with 31 sixths, which equals 5 1/6. Congratulations, that is the end of chapter 3.